All right, guys, what is going on? I got a tier list ready for you. I believe these are all the leaders in the game. So hopefully I didn't miss any. But guys, before I didn't really do a whole tier list because didn't really matter. There was just like maybe like 7 or 8 decks that were like contenders, and then like really only like 3 or 4 actual decks that people would play in a major tournament. But because of this massive reset with the new red banned cards, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about most of the decks in some sort of depth. So it's gonna be a little bit of a longer video, but let's get started. So right off the bat, I'm gonna say Crocodile is one of the best decks. Now I'm not gonna order them from like top to like, I'm not gonna order them in like best. God, I can't think of what I'm trying to say. I'm not gonna order them in the tiers, but I'm just gonna put them in the same tier, and and we'll talk about that in later days. But Crocodile is definitely going to be one of the best decks in the game for sure. His ability to control the board is just something we just haven't seen in other decks. Like, Black was obviously supposed to be the deck that controlled the board and didn't let you play anything, but it's actually going to be Crocodile, at least for the next month, and then Sakazuki after that. But Crocodile has great matchups into pretty much every single deck in the game right now, except Katakuri, which is a little bit of a tough matchup, but I have been on a winning streak against Katakuris at locals, and I've won 2 locals in a row with this Crocodile deck. So now that I'm able to focus against yellow completely, I think I'll be able to do even better than I was before. And I don't think yellow has a lot of good tech cards that can really deal with Crocodile's ability to just get them off the board, because at the end of the day, they have to play characters, right? Like, I mean, they can go like the Casino Curry version where they just play like Soul Pocus and Tropical Torment and stuff, like kind of like we did in set 3. But yeah, this like it's unless they do something like that, which is very slow and very unaggressive, then we're gonna be seeing Crocodile do very well, at least for the next month. Next, we're gonna talk about let's drag Doflamingo up here. I think Doflamingo is a really good deck. I'm gonna put him in A tier, just because his ability to, like, he has the same access to blue cards as Crocodile does, except for, the Baroque Works engine. But Crocodile is able to just play like a more, I guess, like free form list than Doflamingo. So Doflamingo can still build a board really well. He honestly, I think he does pretty good into the Crocodile matchup because he can like maintain that pressure. But Doflamingo is not as consistent, I think, as Crocodile, because Crocodile doesn't need to use his leader effect until the very end of the game, and he doesn't need any setup for it. He just has to be at like 9 or 10 Dawn. And Doflamingo, if he doesn't see Perona or Doflamingo on curve, is at a little bit of a struggling. It's a little bit of a struggling deck. But still a really good deck, and I think it's gonna be pretty good. Next, we're gonna talk about Kid. I think Kid is probably an S tier right now. Kid honestly does pretty decent into yellow, especially because you're playing like the film version, and it's very aggressive, and yellow does not deal well with aggression, right? So Kid's ability to just be very versatile, he's great into most decks, and he just has a lot of versatility, and obviously his leader ability is just 2 12k swings, which is just very tough to get out of at the end of the game. So Kid's gonna be pretty good. He got second, I think he got second at the regional, but I think he got like a top 8 at the regional before that. And now I think he just gets better because like some of his matchups that like he was like a little bit iffy into are no longer a thing. Like Kid was probably not very good into Zoro, and Zoro's like not nearly as fast as it once was. So I think Kid definitely is pretty good. Law is dead. Law is super mega ultra dead. I think this deck comes back with the film version in set 6 when they released that Luffy that on play is like a mini Nami. On play he's a 2/3 where he searches top 3 for a film. So like, and he's red too, so you can play like the green Nami and you can play him, and those are like the 2 searchers. But until then, I think this deck does nothing. It loses Dodon and Nami, which are its 2 best two most important engine pieces, and it obviously still has the green components, but you're gonna have to play like Izo or something, and like Izo, the white build strategy for Law is just doesn't work. So I've already tried it, it's not as good. So I think Law is pretty much dead. I think Zoro's probably still in A tier, probably somewhere near the bottom of A tier, because just having access to red cards is just really good in general. So Zoro I think is just really good, but honestly, if we're being real, I think actually Luffy is just like better than Zoro right now, because Zoro relied on the weenie strategy strategy, and that's not really like too relevant anymore. It's just not as fast as it once was, and definitely not as consistent as it once was. So I think the more mid-range version is going to be like slightly better, and if we're going to be playing a mid-range deck, I think Luffy's just better than Zoro at being a mid-range red deck. So those are an A tier actually. So surprisingly enough, I never thought Luffy would be an A tier, but I think Luffy's pretty good. Next, I think Law, this new red purple Law, is going to be pretty good. Like I said, I'm not going to organize them like really, but I think he's going to be one of the best decks in A tier. His ability to just be incredibly fast is just something that's really hard to get around. However, he did just lose the Nami whole component of his deck, like, so like he can't really search for like choppers, he can't search for like his Brooks, he can't search for a lot of things. He definitely can't search for Gordon now with the Dawn. So like it's gonna be a really tough to like find combo pieces, but I think he's gonna be definitely better than like a lot of the decks in the format, just because he's so fast, and like the tempo that he can provide is something that like you haven't seen except for like the super aggro Zoro like back in like early like set 2. So I think this deck is really scary when it draws well. However, it's way less consistent now that Dodon and Nami are gone. So I don't know why we have Law on here twice, but next we're going to talk about Katakuri. Obviously Katakuri is probably going to be the cream of the crop of the set right now. Obviously 10 cost Big Mom is absolutely insane. It's just something that you can't really play around. Obviously, the only way to play around it really is to set up a bunch of blockers or be very aggressive into their life. However, when they're when you're very aggressive, sometimes they can trigger into like Cracker or Pero, and like they can kind of like crack back at you, and like there's not really a way to plan around it. So it's just really hard to play against Katakuri because it's just like the unknown. Like, how do you play against a deck that literally gets lucky? You know, so it's like it's really hard to structure your turns around playing into Katakuri, because like even if you play around Sanji, like if they trigger Beige, it's just like it's really tough. So Katakuri is still probably the best deck. I think in some aspects it gets worse because all of these decks, like I said in my other video, are going to be game planning for Katakuri. So I think it definitely is going to see, it's not going to be like a free ride to any regional win, but I think it's definitely going to be pretty good, obviously. And then the mirror is going to be pretty tough too. So well, I mean, Katakuri is probably still the best deck though. Whitebeard obviously is dead. No talking about that. Kinemon, I think it's probably somewhere between A and S. I think Kinemon is pretty good. Like I said, like it's really aggressive, and it offers like banish. It offers like banish potential with Yamato. It can offer card or stuff that rests, so like another Yamato, like the 4/6 Yamato, and then Izo and like stuff like that. So Kinemon can definitely get there, and I think it's pretty versatile, just like I said with Kid. We'll see what's more important, the 12k swing or playing bodies early, and just like having that like more like Wano engine access. But I think Kinemon's still pretty good, and I definitely think it can get there. I think Magellan's probably at the top of B, I want to say. Because as much as I like Magellan, actually I don't really like Magellan that much, but as much as you guys like, I'm sorry guys, that was kind of funny. As much as you guys like Magellan, I just think that he loses to like a lot of stuff. Like I feel like he loses to like the 3 S tier decks that I just named right there, especially like Film Kid, because it's just like, it doesn't need a lot of Dawn, it just like plays big bodies and can like get over Magellan, and like the Dawn -1 like doesn't really matter that much. Magellan can be decent into Katakuri, so like if Katakuri is really good and like this like beats Katakuri all the time, then I can definitely make it like, it can definitely be, I can definitely make a case for it to be an A tier. If it like only goes, it's kind of like what Crocodile was last set, right? Where like Crocodile in set 3 was really good into Whitebeard, but like it depends, like if it only played Whitebeard, it could do really well, but if it played against like Zoro or like Law or like anything else, then it would just like lose. So like the same with Magellan, like Magellan, if it's really good into Katakuri and that's all it plays for like the remainder of the format, it could definitely be an A tier. But if not, if it plays like a wide variety of decks, which I think it's going to do, I don't think it's going to be nearly as good, so I'm going to put it at B. I think Zeph is probably going to be at B as well. Zeph would actually like legit, like Zeph murders green, like it's not even close. However, I think Zeph could also probably beat Katakuri too, but I don't think it's even close. Like to be like, Crocodile will like massacre Zeph, like it's like I will destroy a Zeph with Crocodile, it's not even fair. So I think Zeph probably would be in B tier. You can make a case for him to be an A, because a lot of these decks he'll just beat. However, like this Law people is going to be very popular because it's like a very high skill ceiling deck, and like it's Law, so he's like a fan favorite character. I think this Law will beat the literal hell out of Zeph right here. So yeah, I think it'll be in B, but there's a case to move it up a little bit. We'll see how that goes. I think Smoker is probably like C. I think probably Smoker's C. It's not a bad deck by any means, but it loses super hard to Yellow, and Yellow got even better. And its one good matchup was like Whitebeard basically, and like Whitebeard got cracked. So I just don't see the point to play Smoker right now. Damn, I realize I don't have all the leaders in here. I don't have Lucci in here either, but Lucci's not very good either, I would say. And then obviously I'll put Kaido in B as well. I don't think Kaido is that good. Rebecca is probably, no lie, probably somewhere in like C or D. The thing is, Rebecca will like immediately lose to Crocodile. It immediately loses to Queen, and it like is very hard to win against Yellow, and all of its best matchups have like disappeared. So I think Rebecca like low key just got butchered by other decks getting butchered. So that's very sad for Rebecca. Then we're gonna put Luffy in the top right here. I think Luffy is fantastic. I think Luffy, when it comes out in, what is it, like 2 weeks, guys? I don't remember. What is it, like November 20th? I think Luffy just beats Katakuri straight up. I think Luffy beats Kid straight up, I want to say. I mean, it could not. I don't know. I haven't seen the matchup too much, but I think I don't know. Maybe Doflamingo would be pretty good into Luffy too. But I think Luffy's going to be definitely pretty strong. Definitely depending on the way you build it. Like I said, same with Law, but it lost access to the Nami engine, like the Straw Hat engine. So it's not going to be as powerful as it was, and it doesn't have Newgate. So I still think it's going to be good because he's a 6K leader with like powerful cards at his disposal. And I definitely think he's better than these decks right here, but I don't think he's going to be the best deck, not anymore, at least now that Nami's gone. And then we're going to put Film Dofi at the top as well. I think Film Dofi has a fantastic matchup into every single one of these decks right here. Obviously, Film Dofi just won the regional and beat this Film Kid right here. So like the Film engine obviously is pretty strong. Film Dofi can easily beat Katakuri. It can easily beat this deck right here, which is Luffy. However, it really struggles into Crocodile right here. So I think Crocodile is like going to be one of the best decks in the format because it can beat most of these decks right here, except for like sometimes, or like most of the time, Katakuri. Like Katakuri can definitely like win, which, because it just gets lucky. But Film Dofi is going to be really strong. It doesn't have a lot of bad matchups, and now that it doesn't have to worry about like playing a 4/6 vanilla, it can play cards that swarm the board easier, like Brook. I think I saw someone said that in my comments. But Brook, the Film Brook, can like just swarm the board and like play like a 3/5, and then like just swarm the board and like beat Katakuri. It can beat it can like out tempo Luffy, the red purple, because they're just going to run out of cards, and it can even sometimes out tempo Crocodile too. So I think Dofi's going to be really, really, really good. Dude, I put Law in here so many times. Is this the third Law? No, I didn't. Okay, Queen. I think Queen is probably going to be in the top of A tier, because Queen, I think, does beat Kid and Luffy for sure. And I would say it goes 50-50 with this Doflamingo if they draw their 10 drop or not, or multiple 10 drops. But the Queen doesn't like just easily loses to this to Crocodile, and then it can definitely lose to Katakuri. Like I'd say it's probably like 65-35 in Katakuri's favor. Just because they can see what's at your life, and then just like if it's a dead card, they can put it at the bottom, and they know like what every single one of your life cards is. So it's like very easy to like play around their triggers when you know what they are. And then like the fact that you can just like keep moving triggers around and like putting all their dead cards at the bottom, so you know they're not going to trigger into anything when you're going for game, is just really tough. And then also being able to trash their life is really good with 10 cost Big Mom and gaining life in the process. So yeah, that's I think Queen is going to be probably the best deck in A tier, or one of them. I think another B tier deck is probably going to be Blurple Kaido. Blurple Kaido loses pretty hard to Katakuri, but I think it can beat everything else. It can definitely beat Kid. It can definitely beat Dofi and Luffy. So I think maybe Blurple Kaido is going to be an A tier. I still think Blurble Kaido is good. I don't know why people hate Blurble Kaido. He literally has access to like insanely fast ramping abilities, right? With like Onigashima, which is now searchable with Who's Who. And then also his leader effect is ramping Adon. And like, I know like sometimes you don't get to use it, especially now that Zoro is no longer in the meta. So like you're not just like hitting like weenie blockers or weenie attacks or bodies. I'm sorry, I can't talk today. But like Onigashima can still help you ramp. He can play other cards that ramp, and then like having access to like Red Rock and 3000 Worlds and Mihawk and a board wipe is just really strong. Definitely like the board wipe can definitely like murder Queen, right? It can really hurt like Crocodile and Kid and Doflamingo. Like I think Kaido actually is probably going to be an A tier now that I think about it. And then I think I still think this Crocodile like doesn't really do anything. The yellow and purple Croc. As much as I like him, I just don't think he's like really like, he's just like is kind of useless. I mean, it's like a worse version of Queen. So I put him in the same tier as Smoker because I just don't see him like doing anything really good. And B tier, I think Vivi is actually pretty decent. Vivi like has access to red cards, which is like very strong. Obviously, it just lost Nami, which makes Red Rock and 3000 Worlds not as searchable. But like, it still has access to tons of draw power. It still has access to like every turn you could have rush, and then obviously like the color pool is pretty good. I think Vivi is like low-key pretty decent and like can beat a lot of the decks in the meta, but there's definitely things it loses to. So like you can make a case for it being in C tier, but like in B tier, I think at the very end of B it kind of belongs there because I think it's just better than Rebecca right now, especially because like Rebecca's best matchups are no longer in the game. Sanji probably put in like C tier as well. He can do some like cheeky stuff with like vanillas and like the Pacifista engine, but like other than that, it's not really anything. Kid probably put in B tier. The new Kid is interesting because like you can play cards like Sanji that like take your own life, and like can get you down to, I think you need to have 3 life when you use this effect, or to go back to 5k on your turn. But like and he's very aggressive too. Like this Kid can like do a lot, and it has access to like I said, a really cool color pool with like purple as a complementary color, and purple keeps getting better every set. I think he's pretty decent. I don't know exactly where he stands in the meta, but I think he's not going to be like great, but I don't think he's going to be bad by any means. Ivankov is pretty bad. I'm going to put Ivankov in D tier. It's just, I don't know, dude. It just feels like it doesn't do anything. That's all. Like I talked about it in like another video with Raizu, but like I think Ivankov like eventually will be good, like when tempo plays actually matter. But like right now it feels like its best plays don't do anything, and its leader effect, like if you're good, you can just math them out of the game. And like of course you can trash dead cards in your hand and draw more cards, but you don't know what those cards are most of the time. I mean, you could play like Doflamingo and you could play like Perona and stuff like that to like kind of find them, kind of like what you do with what is it called, with Queen with your triggers. But like Queen heals, and all Ivankov does is draw like 2 cards, which sometimes are counters and sometimes aren't, which is just like you can't really protect any of your characters. So Ivankov kind of sucks. Blurple Croc we're gonna put in probably C tier. Its worst matchup is yellow, and yellow is gonna be super relevant. It can definitely lose super easily to like all of these decks right here too, except for maybe Luffy. But yeah, it just doesn't do enough, unfortunately. Arlong actually gets better. I'm gonna put Arlong in B tier, because Arlong can be very aggressive, and it can actually play like moderately well into Katakuri because it like is very aggressive. Like I said, his Katakuri is like one of its few weaknesses, is aggression. So Arlong actually gets a little bit better, and I'm happy for Arlong. I'm gonna go ahead and put freaking Black Yellow Big Mom. I know I'm gonna say this is like a shock to you guys, but I think Black Yellow Big Mom, me and Vivi Theory have been saying this for a long time, is like so underrated. I have the alt for this card, or for this leader, and I've been like dying to use it, but like every time I think about putting the deck together, I'm like, it's just not it. It's just not the time. It's just not the time. This deck is actually good now that Whitebeard's gone. Whitebeard was like its only like horrible matchup. It can beat everything else. It plays 10-drop Big Mom, so like how is it bad? You know, like it has access to black and yellow, which are 2 pretty good colors, and and having that Big Mom Pirates tag is just massive. Like that alone, like playing 10-drop Big Mom just beats half the decks in the format. And then obviously you can recur life. You can play like cards like Yamato to recur life. You can play Ice Age. You can play Sakazuki to like pop like mid-game beaters that a lot of people are gonna be playing now, like Luffy is, like Katakuri does. So like there's a lot of things that this deck can do that like you guys just aren't ready for. Black Luffy, I think Black Luffy's bad. I never understood why people play this deck. I think it's bad. I don't know like why anyone plays it. My friend David like loves this deck, and I don't understand why. It is just like so mid in every category. So like, yeah, it's C, and I'm tired of pretending it's not. Odin, we're gonna put probably in C tier right now as well. It can do some little cheeky stuff, but it's like not really consistent. When it hits though, Odin goes crazy, bro. Like when Odin hits, bro, it's, man, you don't even know. Did I talk about Luffy yet? If I haven't talked about Luffy, I'm gonna probably put him in C tier as well. He can do, like I said, just like Odin, some cheeky stuff that's like kind of funny and like can like OTK you out of nowhere, but it's not good by any means, and it loses to a lot of things. I don't know why there's like random Utas in here. I guess we can talk about like we'll use this Uta as like the red Uta card. And so in that case we'll put him at B. Because red Uta actually is like such a massive tempo deck that like if you just keep playing big bodies and like your opponent like literally cannot deal with it. Like you just play like 3 5s that become 3 7s, and then like you play like 4 6s, and like you literally just play like these massive bodies with access to Radical Beam, Guard Point, Red Hawk, all of that good stuff. Like I think Uta is actually not too bad, and I think that like if you're not playing Crocodile or like a deck that can like get rid of their bodies or like kill you before it's time, I think this deck can run over like anyone. So that's Uta. And then we already talked about Law Isho. I think Isho's in D, bro. But like I feel bad because I like Isho as a character. I really do. And I think he's one of the strongest like admirals that we've ever seen. And his leader power is like, or not his leader power, his Devil Fruit's like broken. But like he just doesn't do anything in the game, so he's like just kind of bad. Unfortunately, if he had 5 life, I think it'd be different. And then Garp is probably going to be in like D tier, I'd say. I don't know. Garp doesn't really do anything either. Yeah, guys, that's the end of the video. It looks like. Let me know what you guys think of that. I don't know which leaders I missed out on. I know I missed out on Lucci, but I put Lucci in C tier as well. King probably in C tier. I know I missed out on him too. I have like a file with like all the leaders that I thought I had all of them. And when I looked at it before I started this video, it looked like I had them all because they were grouped up. But now that I see that I'm missing like, I think like 4 or 5. But those leaders probably aren't that important if I'm forgetting about them. Dude, watch someone comment like you forgot like, I don't know, like some really important leader. But I just can't think of it right now, guys. I'm sorry. But yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Peace.